Hi guys, this is Ginjo from London Saurus. Today we're going to be talking about the final episode of part one of Bleach anime. Because it's the final episode, I thought I'd give it a bit more time so we can be able to go into this because we're not going to be getting any new episodes till July, so it's quite a while. I'll try and do more episodes, more review episodes from first few episodes, so on, so we haven't covered. So yeah, today's episode is really, episode 13 was really very, very chilled episode, and it's kind of like the calm before the storm. Just a bit of a highlight in regarding Ichigo's conclusion, in regarding what he heard in the last episode with his dad, his resolve, finishing off the training, the Soul Palace, and then everyone kind of getting ready, getting powered up, and getting ready for the next invasion in the part 2 of the 1,000-Year Blood War. So let's get in there. So we opened the episode first of all with Ichigo. After he finishes talking to his dad, and you can see on Ichigo's face that resolve of understanding truly who he is and embracing both parts of who he is, his family, his Soul Reaper background from the Shiba family from his dad, and also the Quincy part of his mom, understanding what he has to do. He collects the Soul Reaper pass that his former boss, Mizuki, brought back to him, and he literally tells his dad that he's going. And the funniest scene where Ichigo, his dad asked him, Ichigo, how do you intend to get back to the Soul Palace? And Ichigo was like, turned around in the weirdest face ever, like, I don't know. And all of a sudden, poof, we saw one of Nehemiah's, one of his bodyguards appeared, and she said perfect timing, and she just dragged him back to the Soul Palace, to the underground training ground for the Asoshis that him and Renji fought in a few episodes again. And she just both of them just put him in there, and Nehemiah was literally saying, Ichigo, you should be fine now, you should be okay doing this now with the Asoshis. Very, very good scene. You can see the confidence in Ichigo's face, and Ichigo literally turned around. All the Asoshi swords are behind him, waiting to, and as soon as he starts walking, all of them surprisingly just bend down and kind of open the space and kind of bowed to him. Like it's like they don't even need to fight him anymore. He's such in a state of understanding and knowing what he needs to. They just bowed down and opened the space to him. Right at the back, he went to one particular sword, one of the Asoshis, and one of them was bending down, and he literally pointed out and said, "It is you. You are my sword." And he literally gave us a hand out. And as soon as he shook the hand and took the hand of the Asoshi, what a good scene. The black skin of the Asoshi started peeling off, and we see the reveal of who his real sword is. It's his hollow form that has been helping him and fighting with him from all this time. That is his new Zangetsu. That's a part of his Zangetsu, and that is his new sword. You can see the hollow face on his sword, and Nehemiah was like, "You did well, Ichigo. You can now bring the sword out, and I will personally reforge it for you." And which was brilliant. And then we immediately cut off to the Squad 10 barracks. We see Captain Hitsugaya going back to one of his old trainers. He's quite a young captain, obviously, because he's got his Bankai, but because his Bankai has gotten stolen, he feels quite useless, that he doesn't deserve to be a captain anymore. So he goes back to his former trainer, and the trainer was startled. He's like, "What are you doing here, captain?" He's like, "I'm not, what am I again? I'm not a captain, my Bankai has been stolen, I'm the same." And he joins the normal barracks of training with everyone just to be able to kind of get back to the roots, to be able to understand what he's doing, and be able to, as I said, everyone's kind of training, powering up for the next battle to come with the Quincy's going forward. And then we cut back to Squad 12 barracks. We see Akon after the last fight with the Quincy's, where he opened the door for Ichigo. He got shot a few times, but now he looks like he's got a few bandages on his head. He's coming back to duty. They're asking him, "Are you okay?" And I said, "It's fine." He was asking about Captain Kurosuchi. Everyone was like, "He's been in this room for 3 days, and we don't know what he's doing We see a couple of weird-looking surveillance bugs on the side. Apparently, he shot all the surveillance bugs on the side. So it seems like Akon has a secret camera in the captain's room, just kind of monitoring the captain, finding out what's going on. And he puts it on, and it slightly shows what's going on. So we can see Captain Kuratsuchi and Nemu, his lieutenant, is literally, looks like he's got a new gear as his fashion. He always changes new fancy clothes, but it seems like they're literally reanimating a corpse, which is quite interesting to find out who it's going to be in the next arc, in the next part. Is trying to reanimate this new corpse, I think, to help him fight the Quincy's. He's doing some dangerous experiments, and Akon was like, what the hell is the captain trying to do? What is he creating? And we see the surveillance drone just scrambled there, because I think he kind of found out that they were looking at, they were spying on him. We cut back to a bit of a comedic scene with Omaida in his the lieutenant of squad 2, Soifon's lieutenant, in his family house, just chilling and kind of daydreaming about what's going on. He's like, the captain left me, I bet she's training. We cut off to see Soifon in kind of a Rocky Mountain area, again training on her own, trying to be ready and strong enough to be able to fight the Quincy's when they come back. I think her Bankai was stolen too as well. But yeah, we see Omaida's sister, we see Omaida's family there for yourself, and then we cut back to one of the most epic scenes that we've been waiting for. We see Yamamoto, we see Kamamura, Captain Kamamura, went back to a cave, and he went back to meet this person called, not a person actually, the biggest dog you've ever seen, Great Elder, because obviously he's from the dog clan. They might be werewolves, but they look like dog clans. Apparently, they've been cursed to become dogs because their clan has committed a grave sin in the Soul Society. So this dog clan, he was like, and we see this massive dog, honestly, literally looks like Yamamoto in dog form. Massive dog, like 50 times the size of Kamamura, sitting down, and he said, Great Elder, I'm here to learn the secrets of our clan. And he just kind of laughed at him. He said, Kamamura, how dare you come back here? Sajin Kamamura, how dare you come back here asking the secrets of our clan, whereby you wrapped your head in shame and gone into the world of the living and covered your face because you're ashamed of who we are and how we look. And Kamamura was trying to explain to him, things have changed now. We've been accepted by the Soul Reapers. I'm even a captain, is trying to explain. And the Great Elder is like, shut up, otherwise I'd eat you. Quite scary stuff. He's saying, whoever wins the war of the world, whoever owns the world, is never going to change. We're still going to be hated. We're still going to stay in the shadows. There's no point in what you're trying to do. He said he wants to learn the secrets of the clan. And literally, he stood up. He said, if he doesn't get away, he will crush him and eat him. Kamamura was ready to risk it all to get those powers. And, you know, he needs a power boost too as well, you can tell. And he said, bring it on. Really, he was ready to go all out with him at that point. But yeah, we cut off there. We go back to Ichigo and Nimaya. And Ichigo gets brought out with his sword and gets taken to Nimaya's underground forge. And we get to see Nimaya Tetsu's bodyguards. We saw one of them that brought Ichigo back, but we see they are actually 5 of them. They call his bodyguards. All of them have a duty. We see that one of them constructs the underground kind of forgery that he would use to be able to forge the sword. The other one breathes fire, the fire that would be used to be able to forge the sword. And the other one uses her teeth, literally takes her teeth out to be able to form the hammer that Nimaya is going to use. The other one uses her hair to be able to hold the Asoshi, the Ichigo sword, turns into like blade form again. And she uses her hair to hold it down so Nimaya can give it a good beating to be able to turn it into a sword. So we're literally seeing Nimaya literally reforge Ichigo's Zanpakuto and Zangetsu there for yourself. And literally, as he's forging the sword over and over again, Nimaya says one of the very most important information. Seems like he really knows a lot about Ichigo. He's saying, This sword has always been with you. It seems like this hollow form has been transferred since from the experiments from Aizen, that he used thousands of soul reapers to create this hollow that bit your mom, stayed in your mom's body, and now has been in you and has been protecting you going forward. This is not your normal Zangetsu. This is a completely different power within you that's been there with you. And then he says also, this is not the only power you get. Have you noticed that your previous sword, Zangetsu, has always, the biggest reveal ever has always been your sword that's been with you, the old Zangetsu, the old man that you've always known, has always been Yoha back, Yoichi from the King of the Quincy's. He's the one that has all been pretending like he's your sword Zangetsu. And we see a flashback of Ichigo going back into his world, like his inner world, saying, is it true? Have you always been Yoha back? Have you always been the King of the Quincy's inside me, pretending like you're my sword, your Zangetsu? And he literally, Zangetsu, which is your back spirit that has been inside Ichigo, pretending like he's a sword, because he just say, yes I am, and no I'm not. He said, because I am the spirit of Quincy's within you, and this is my form. He said that I've never wanted you to become a Soul Reaper, because I knew one day if you do become a Soul Reaper, I will have to kill you with my own two hands. But seeing you grow, seeing how much you've grown, you become a Soul Reaper, you've put yourself in danger, and you've picked yourself up, you've matured so well. I've been very proud of you, my son. And now we understand why Yoha called him my son born in the darkness, because he's always been there with him. As we've learned in the last episode, Yoha has every Quincy has his blood flowing through his veins, so it'll be right for Ichigo to have his blood too as well, because his mother was an edged Quincy, she was a true-born Quincy, so he's been Ichigo's soul that has been protecting him, helping him too as well. So he's part of Ichigo's sword too as well, and his soul. And he said, if you remember, I've always, used the hollow to train you, but I've always been there to help you too as well whenever you do need me. But even though you haven't become a Quincy, you've become a Soul Reaper, I am still proud of what you've become. And it was a really touching moment for Ichigo. Ichigo kind of understands and accepts finally his Quincy blood and understands what he has to do. And he said, farewell, Ichigo. This is the last time we will converse. And finally, he leaves him a sword. He disintegrates into the air and he leaves him a Quincy sword too as well. Literally a flaming Quincy sword. And after he leaves him, Ichigo runs through and grabs the Quincy sword. When he grabs the Quincy sword outside, we see him bringing it out, and we see Nimaya Otetsu forging that Quincy sword again. And we see Ichigo with a badass two swords. One has the spirit of Yoha his Quincy sword, and one of them has the spirit of that Asoshi that he fought and he found out. So he's got his original Zangetsu that was forged, but his new Zangetsu now is a dual sword. One of them is Yohaba's spirits, his Quincy powers, and the other one is his hollow power. So both of them, Ichigo has accepted those powers. He's accepted they're part of him, and now he's using both of them to fight together. So both of them are now his new Zangetsu sword, and they look absolutely amazing. Stunning sword, honestly. And yeah, it's we see him hold the new swords that Nimaya has forged for him, and one of them is shorter, one of them is obviously longer, and you can see Ichigo grabbing onto those swords while Nimaya is beating them, and he's imprinting his soul on those swords. And when he finally gets done, honestly, because of Ichigo's spiritual pressure, when he lifts the swords, all the water underground, in the underground forging facility of Nimaya completely evaporated. Like, even Nimaya's bodyguards were like, it's never happened before. But we see an incredible shot of Ichigo literally holding those swords. Like, literally, you can see the steam coming off him, and Nimaya is saying, yes, they're finally ready. And literally, you can see the swords disintegrating and going back in spirit. Above you can see one of the swords, the shadow of his hollow that he's been fighting with his inner world, and the other, you can see both of them standing beside him, kind of like watching over him as his swords, a shadow of Yoha back as Zangetsu before, and another shadow of his hollow form, all together disintegrating, like kind of as his sword's soul going forward. And literally we start seeing the end credit scene, and we see a massive panel, the blade is me. Honestly, what an amazing episode, a good setup for the next episode, the part 2 of the 1,000-Year Blood War that's going to come out in July. Obviously it's a wait, but it's completely worth it. Very good episode. After that, we get a little cheeky post-credit scene whereby another reveal. We see Jugram Hashwald, the second in command of the Quincy army. We see Yoha back in his palace sitting down, and we see Hashwald, because the last time Hashwald went to talk to Uryu, we didn't know what happened, but we finally see Hashwald come back, talk to the Soul King, and we finally see Uryu dressed in the Vandenreich clothes. So Uryu has now officially joined the Quincy's, the Vandenreich, the Stanritters, and he kneels down in front of the Soul King, and the Soul King says to him, "Let's fight together, my son. Welcome to the Vandenreich." And he says his name, Uryu Ishida. Absolutely amazing. Setting up, so we are aware that Uryu and Ichigo would have to have it out eventually. Very, very good episode. Worth the wait. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. Once again, if you would please like and subscribe to the channel, it would really help. We'll try to post as much geeky content for you guys in the future. Thank you.